should have, but the only reason I almost did it.
Yeah,
I've had such
I walked in on Saturday. Hey, you want to stay to but like the 10-minute break that change. Not like rap, like research and you can do that. So you get so you gotta be like you have to call all the balls, right? You gotta be like so you're gonna have to there's a guy up there and he lives so he does the station I'll always write it. So you start from and then they're like, fine. You still show up, or then you'll get a call on notification or on call if you're seeing actually, so here. So I went on another call. Like pick up one. Guys are in, so
Is this about everybody? Is everyone back? You say, are we missing anyone?
yeah, a couple people.
Just a couple more people. Go ahead, Brian.
Page 13. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. I have to show you earlier. That's what I was talking about earlier. Oh yeah. You see the one where the sun was rising up, was that fucking cowboy thing? Yeah. Uh-huh. A lot of them share that. Went to sleep. I don't know. Let's find out. Fucking pizza party day. Oh, there's my wife. My wife's gonna spend money on it is my excuse. I told her if she wasn't here, I'd marry the microwave. And she didn't want to hear it. Oh, I mean, I think it's your part that's late. She made it legendary. It was a lot less than she thought. Not even that. Are you my fucking mom? I mean, I'm just going to be a little bit easier to fire more than that. Go ahead and raise like one period.
All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back. I'm H1 Woods. I'm one of the division career counselors, and I'm going to be teaching your next period of instruction, which is the NAVPERS 15560 Delta. This is a part of your PMK portion on the exam. All right, so a lot of jumbled information. You see what's in red. The military personnel manual, MILPERS man. I'm sure you've heard that plenty of times. It was in its current form first issued under the Navy regulations back in 2002. The purpose of the MILPERS man, the NAVPERS, the purpose of the MILPERS man is to provide direction and guidance. It contains policy, rules, practices, administration with military personnel in the Navy. So that's what's on the side. All right. The NAVPERS and all of the MILPERS mans are living documents. All right. They follow in line with the SSIC codes, which I'm pretty sure it says in the next article. All right, so they are 100% organized the same way, with every instruction and form pertaining to the use of the SSIC codes. It's numbering. The way it's numbered is it'll be like mils per man 1160 TAC 010. All right, so it's a 4-digit SSIC and a 3-digit extension, which is what is specific for that mils per man. All right, you're gonna have a lot of MILPERS man that will be, 1100 or 1160 or 1060 or 1700, so on and so forth. And what it does is it breaks it down into categories and subcategories. So here you go, 5712, 1 tag 0. I think with the mills per man, the one thing that I can stress the most about this very short class is knowing your SSIC codes, knowing what the 5000s are, and then the secondary, the 5700s. Right? You guys had a SSIC code class?
Yes.
Okay. And they went into like the first, second, third, what all those numbers mean?
They did.
They did?
They did.
I hope so, because that will be extremely helpful for you when it comes to instructions. Mill PERS mans, which is their instructions, forms, all of that is just circling around SSIC codes. So if you don't know your SSIC codes, I encourage you to know everything about 1000, 5000, and 6000. Really, those are going to be your main ones. Alright, so your 1000s are military personnel, 4,000 is logistics, 5,000 is general administration, and then you can see the rest. And you'll notice, like on your bibs, whether it's in your rating specific, what you'll be testing out on, or the PMK, you're going to see a lot of these 1000s, 5000s, and maybe even like the 6000s in your PMK. So that's like the core. That's initially just like in the SSIC codes. That's what you're going to see. All right, and then it breaks it down. Just again, if you guys saw this in the SSIC class, I apologize. So it's going to break it down even more. You know, your 1000s are general administration, 1100s are recruiting, so on and so forth. So like at a mill PERS man, you would have like a 1700, right? That first 4 digits at 13 or 030. All right, so here's some examples. So like, again, NAV PERS is the living, breathing document. Those documents are the mills PERS man. All right, so please don't get confused with like what NAV PERS, the 15560 delta is, and all the mills per man, because those are what makes up the NAV PERS. That's why we're just talking about mills PERS man. All right, so again, they go side by side with the SSIC codes. I can't stress that enough. Probably just going to pull an example if I can on here. Again, short slide, right? Short show. All right, so let's go over like an example for military personnel, right? The 1000s. It will pull up 1306, right? So 1306 assignment and distribution. So assignment and distribution. There is a lot of things that are inside of this one, like PCSing, overseas screenings are in here. So those mill per mans, like that 1306, it derives from an instruction, right? It says, please refer to the mills per man, 1306, cap, whatever. And then that mill per man will explain how to fill out the forms, or all the documents necessary to, complete a package, whether it's PCSing or SRBs, just anything. So that's the general overview of what the NAV PERS 15560 delta is, and how it's a living and breathing document, because it encompasses all of the mill PERS man. Please, does someone have any questions about what I just went over? So I can take this anywhere, any direction. What would, like, nothing. no examples of like what you might see on the test. Examples you might see on the exam would be, let's go to the Buper's instruction 1610. All right, performance evaluations. So that instruction might have a question of which mill PERS man you might reference when utilizing the Buper's instruction or the performance manual, which would be the same thing. It would be a 1610. Right? 'Cause they all go inside. They're just like forms.
So besides the numeric like 1 to 13, we need to know like what is like what is like 1,000 to 1,099, like this and all that.
Not like every single number. And that's where it's going to be on you guys to go and look at SSIC codes and which SSIC codes are on your exam. Looking at all of the nav PERS, view meds, op navs, sec navs, mill PERS, all of those SSICs. And then kind of like, I would create an Excel document, right? Knowing which all the 1,000s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6, whatever you may have in the exam. And then being able to break them down by the general, right? So those general admins, and then going further and further down the line. So like 1,000, there's like a 1,000, 1010 or 1001, and then coming down to like 1101. I'm not saying you have to go all the way down to that fourth number, but if you were to create an Excel document with all of the references that are on your bid, it will help you better understand the breakdown of your SSIC codes. Once you have those SSIC codes, that's like, to me, that's everything, because you know where everything is going to be deriving from and how they communicate with each other. Does that answer your question?
Can you go back to the slide before this? Because I'm on the same page as her. So your SSIC codes, or like she said, is 1 through 6. Well, not 1 through 16, but 1 through 13 plus 16. And then you have all these that are in the middle, but they're referring to the SSIC codes before them, or is this something separate?
All right, please ask that question again.
I think I can answer that beforehand. So, let's take for an example, let's go to the 6,000 series, right? So your main category, obviously, is going to be medical dental at 6,000, right?
Right.
And then your subcategory, let's put a 2 there. So 6,200, anything can be Prev Med, because that is your sub. And then anything inside of, after the 2 would be a tertiary if you're on, which would be more specific on it. Like, so 6280 type whatever, that's going to be tuberculosis or some shit. Or preventive, or regulated medical waste. So once you break down the subcategories, so like that right there is telling you main categories. Okay. Anything after that one number is going to be a subcategory. That'll break it down to something like general admin and reservists, or general admin active, so stuff like that. And then any number after the second number is tertiary, which is going to be more specific. I think is what he's trying to tell you. Correct?
Okay. Correct. Very good. Thank you. And that's why I'm saying, like, go out of your way. All right, you've got plenty of time to learn your SSIC codes, to write or type down every single thing that pertains to your bid. Once you start with that, like I'm telling you, you are golden. Everything just starts talking to each other, whether it's the instructions, the forms, the mill PERS mans, they all start talking to each other. They're all saying the same thing. So once you know those SSIC codes, like that's a lot of information that you could just, I wouldn't say guess, but you would be able to take an educated guess of what that is referring to from one to another. Anybody else? Please. I'm here for another 20 minutes. I know. Can you think of anything? Got it.
And this also correlates with your native correspondence, correct? So like when you have in that top right corner, say in reference to, have the SSIC code. So that way when you're writing your neighbor correspondence, you'll know what they're trying to refer to or where the person you're writing it to can go look.
Correct. So 1306, and then even further we could talk about like enlisted distribution in 1306. That would be part of on a letter. But that's just typically SSIC codes. This class is about milk-herd man, how they coincide with SSIC codes. So if you were to have a letter about enlisted distribution and you saw that SSIC code on the top, you would be able to refer to that milk-herd man, like, okay, these are all the forms of documents that I'm supposed to need for said letter. If that makes sense. Yeah, that's why I'll circle back around and say, like, these are living documents. These are telling you exactly everything that you need to have completed, whether it's for requests, forms, you name it. There's a milk-herd man for it. Casualty assistance, fleet family services, MCC, like volunteering, fundraising. There's a milk-herd man for everything. Anything else? All right. I know the class is short, and everyone that's here in the classroom, the one next door, and/or watching, again, I highly encourage you to take some time, look at your bib, and start typing everything out. What SSIC code is what? Know your primaries, your secondaries, your tertiaries, because knowing that literally will get you through just knowing what is talking to another as far as forms, instructions, and milk-herds. No one else has anything for me. That's the end of this class. Please stand by and wait for the next one. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what she was telling me.
Because it got late.
I told her because she was talking too long. I said,
No, she let her boss.
so it's completely your fault. Oh, okay.
I literally just said that.
They're waiting for you specifically.
All
right.
I actually been waiting for you.
This is fine, nobody. Holy, it's smaller.
It's a lot of info.
Sure it is. All right. What's up? You answer? Everybody's good? Is the music on? Yeah. That's
Home music.
All right, cool. We're gonna get started. Again, attention to our Arbala. Work at the career counselor's office for second market. This next section is evals. After reviewing these slides, they basically put the entire eval manual on this PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Like word for word. We will not cover it like that because this isn't the point of this is not to teach you, teach you exactly the information you're supposed to get what you need for the test out of this, all right? So I shouldn't be teaching you anything too crazy new that you haven't seen before. So what I did, I went through just about every slide and tried to pick out the most important information for testing purposes, like stuff that I've seen before, stuff that I know other sailors have seen, just from mapping an example. This is, people asking questions like, hey, what's the truth about this one? What's the number one thing that's always going to be asked of the eval instruction? Yeah, the actual instruction. It's up there, but what is it? 1610, right? 0.10 delta. And it's view first, okay? So do not forget that. We will talk briefly about these. So your blocks are always going to be asked in some form. So when you're looking at your evaluation, everybody's seen their evaluation, right? So you have your front page where you have all your administrative blocks, and that's usually where they'll pull questions from. So if they're asking you, what is block 4, right? So what's block 4? Social security number. So whenever you're seeing, like, usually those first 8 or 10 blocks, it's all about your administrative data. So try to picture the evaluation in your head when you're actually taking the exam. It'll help you out like crazy. Like even on the quizzes, if you've taken the quizzes for this one already, it asks, actually, I think social is one of the questions it asks. Just grab an eval, one of your evals, a pass eval, and just go through the blocks because it's an easy question to get right on the test. Let's see. What else? Specifically, important blocks that they're going to cover. Like I said, the social is always a big one. But block 20, you guys know what block 20 is for? Physical fitness. Block 20 can be asked in multiple different, multiple ways. Like how many, like what are the nomenclatures or designations that you put for physical fitness? So what would be one of them? P, what's another one? W, yeah. One more. What you say? You say F, yeah. F, you don't want that one, but yeah, F is one. And then you have N, and then you have B. So look at those different designations when you're going through the PowerPoints or the manual, and just kind of familiarize yourself with the ones that aren't obvious. Like, right, you know what W is, you know what P is, you know what F is. So look at the other ones like N and B.
What's W mean?
W means it's a waiver, so you don't have to do it. So when you're looking at, this is where it gets tricky too. And that's why I don't want you to read too much into it. When you look at N and B can be very confusing because they're super similar. So look at them because one you have to in the actual comments block, you have to write something about why it was B. The other one is you participate in the BCA portion, but you don't have to write any comments in the comments block. So look at them to make sure you're not confusing them.
So there's 4 different is it on the next slide? I was just asking earlier.
Where's 20? There you go. So you got, actually it doesn't show you what the codes are, but yeah, so you got P, B, W, F, and N, right? That's all of them. Yeah, P, B, W, F, and N.
Okay, and N means?
N, so when you look at the manual, it'll tell you you performed the BCA, but you didn't have to complete the entire PRT. B is the same, only you have to write in the comments block why that was. So they're confusing. Like you'll run into this issue like from our rank to above chiefs. Like we were going back and forth for the longest time. Like we had to talk to PERS to finally get some clarification on it. And even then, I think our chief at the time ended up doing it the opposite way. So a lot of this stuff can be gray, like gray area. So when you're getting asked a question or you're looking at a question on the exam, pick almost the most obvious answer, the most basic answer. Don't try to look into it too much. Track it. All right, another popular block. Here we are. Blocks 33 through 39. So those are all your trait grades, right? So what is what is 1.0? You know what I'm talking about, trait grades? So when you flip your eval, even on those front portions. Yeah, so it'll tell you exactly where you fall. So what'd you say 1.0 was? Far below. Right. Below standard. I don't think it says far below. Does it say far below on that? I think it should be below standard. So the next one, 2.0. Progressive, right? And then 3.0. Meet standard, so that's your general. What do you always get at 3.0 and likely? For the most part? Leadership. No, not necessarily. Especially as a third class. Equal opportunities. That you're typically going to get 3.0 unless you have something that stands out from the opportunity. Like so you're part of the semester or something like that. So 4. What is 4?
Above standard.
And then what is 5?
Greatly exceed standard.
Greatly exceed standard. So I don't know, the way I look at it, if you're looking at it this way, 1 through 5, pretty easy. You guys know what PMA is, like on the exam? Performance mark average. You want a high PMA, right? When you're taking your exam. So I just look at it and I say, oh, B, PMA, greedy. So you be greedy about your PMA, and you'll kind of know the traits from there. I want to be greedy about my PMA, especially since they're using our trait averages now. So that's a good way to remember that. And of course you have NOB. What does NOB stand for?
Not observed.
Not observed. And then we'll talk a little bit later about when you get not observed. There's a whole chapter on it, by the way. So the whole manual is broken down into, I think it's about 15 chapters. So it's a lot of information. All right, so the other important blocks on here, 43 through 45. 43, that's your comments block, so what information goes there?
Everything you've done in the past reporting period.
Cool, everything that you've done in the past reporting period. And typically the reporting period is from when? For your guys' rank. So it ends on what day? June 1st. June 1st? Everybody agree with June 1st? It's the 15th. So it ends on the 15th. So what you're thinking is when does the start date of that docket? So the start date will be the day after the last week. And then your ending time if you're a third class would be cool. So that's your comments block. Always remember this, it's limited to 18 lines. Have you guys ever written your own evals? Okay, so you have, and have you used that tool, the Microsoft Word tool with the block 43 method, where it kind of counts the lines for you? Yeah, so that's an easy way to keep to your 18 lines before you actually paste it into NavFit. So 18 lines, comments on performance. When talking about comments on performance, what type of comments you put in there? Well, I mean, you can, but like
Supposed to be true comments that you can prove.
Yeah.
Like true comments that you can prove.
Yeah, so if you have an affirmative, you know that section, based on verifiable facts. So you're not just putting things in there just because, it's a good idea to put it in there. Like, you have to have legit proof that, hey, I have done this is going in here. No opinions, nothing like that. Alright, and this is the big one. This is what everybody likes. It's your block 45. So remember, your 43, your 45, those are your big ones. I skipped 44, sorry. 44, qualifications and achievements. So that's a little block at the bottom of your comments. And that, what do you put there? You put your names, any education that you've had, pretty much all your cool stuff that you've done other than your job. You're going to toss in there, any certifications that you've done. So that's the stuff that'll go in there. And following that, you're 45. That's when you're going to toss in recommendations. So what did you actually get? So you have your trade average, which is the average of all the marks that you got. So here. But the big one is your actual recommendation. So did you get an AP? Did you get an NP? Did you get an SP? So those are your promotion recommendations. So when looking at promotion recommendations, always the question to be asked, which is which? So which value corresponds with which recommendation? So when you're looking at, I don't know, which value corresponds with the not? No, you know, it's not observed. You don't get anything. That one doesn't count for anything. So significant problems?
1. 2.0. 2.
Okay.
1.5.
2.0. Did you say you said 1?
1.5.
No, not 1.5. So 2.0. So if you think about it, if you're starting here, right, it goes by twos. So if you think about 2.0, what would be the next one?
3.0?
Sorry, not 2.0, 3.2. And what would be the next one? 3.4. Right, and then following that, 3.6, and then following that, 8.8. And then of course you have your ultimate 4.0. Right? So just think about it, you're counting by twos basically. 3.2, 3.4, 6, 8, and 4.0. I haven't really seen the other ones on the test. Really, it's just recommendations for the future. Just a block that's typically checked unless you're in trouble. All right, senior rater, rater. Real quick, we will go over these guys. Okay, so who's really signing reports? I'm going to try to skip that section. Yeah, here it is. So who's really signing reports? So for E4s and below, who's typically signing the reports for E4s? Right, so the chief would sign it. Chief or senior chief, what about for E5 and below? Second? So yeah, it can't be the Excel. And yet OIC is like partially right. So if you're looking at OIC, and I think it says in there, E9, or is it E9 or OIC? If you guys see it before I do. Anyways, I wrote it down, so it's in there. E9 or OIC or GS9 equivalent, GS9 through 12. So that'll sign E5 and below. And then you're looking at E1 through E9. You can sign E1 through E9.
GS13 equivalent?
Yeah, GS13 or any equivalent to GS13. I mean, honestly, regularly, like when you think about your evals, if you're E4 below, like the chief assignment, but E5, usually it's your CO that's signing that. CO or the XO or the battalion, so you sign that. But like if you're at the hospital, E5, CO signing your stuff. Really, all this stuff is your FMF. That. Being superior. ISIC, it's always going to ask you who your ISIC is. Yeah, so reporting senior responsibility authority to subordinate commanding officer that dies or becomes incapacitated. Somebody may be detached for cause or become seriously delinquent in submitting reports. So that's when the ISIC will take charge. All right, regular reports. We already covered regular reports. It's going to follow the date after the previous eval. So it doesn't really matter what that date is. You could have an eval. Think about it, when you detach, you're not always going to detach on the end of the eval period, right? So that beginning date, you got to pay attention to it whenever you're getting your evals. That way, you're making sure you don't have any gaps in those spaces. So just think about it whenever you're PCSing, it's going to be the date following that when my new eval starts. So pretty much you have it from that time period until June 15th to kick ass, especially if you're only going to be there half a year. So when you're talking about evals in situations like non-observes, if you check in with less than 90 days on board, you'll likely get your non-observed, and you won't have to. You still should kick ass, but you won't have to necessarily kick ass to try to get that good promotion recommendation. All right, special reports. Special reports considered to be for special occasions. For regular reports, you must maintain regular report continuity. So all that's saying is just it's got following with your previous report, making sure the dates line up. You can't submit a special report just to get a higher PMA, right? That would be unfair if you could just be doing that all the time. I would like a special report if I was doing that. If I was going over an exam. Everybody would. Letters of extension, like I said, for like if you're checking into a new command, you would also get a letter of extension for up to 3 months, in total for 15 months. So when you're doing your evaluations, you can never exceed that 15-month mark for the time period of your evaluation. You can go up to the 15-month mark, but you can't exceed it. So like my last evaluation, I checked in February, right? And then when is my eval due? March what? Yeah, they're all the 15th. March 15th. Well, no, March 15th. So if I check in February, March 15th, I don't have to get a letter of extension. Why? Because I'm still going to be within that 15 months. So what was my number of months reporting? I had a 14-month eval. But I didn't have to get an extension because I was within that window. So you don't have to get an extension. And you don't have to get out. It just depends on what your command wants to do. Promotion and frocking reports. Who's gotten an eval that said like frocking or promotion? Read this. Only for E637. Again, one of those like gray areas. So know this. So a lot of times when you're thinking about your experiences for the test, it doesn't always ring true. So if you're taking the test, E637, that's what you get.
Let me touch on that real quick. So in reference to frocked, you might see frocked on your eval if you're transferring and you're still frocked second or third class, right? But it doesn't mean you have to do a special eval once you pick up, unless there's going to be over 15 months to your next eval. Get that? That makes sense? Yes, no? You guys need to understand this because you're taking care of your own career too, and a lot of times you have leaders that sometimes don't understand this as well, so then you get like a faulty eval. I mean, just the other day I was pulling someone's PMA and working their worksheet. This guy had a 90-day gap. Yeah, meaning he checked in from FMTB and they put his reporting date as the day he checked on board, and they didn't account from his last eval, so the whole time he was in FMTB just was non-existent. So, and with the new, if you plan on making a career out of this, it's not just, they say they look at your last 5 years, which they might, who knows, but they also possibly could look at your whole career and all your evals, and if you have a day gap back when you're like an HN or something, they might take that into consideration. Nobody does. So, day for day is a big thing for your evals. So when one ends, the next one begins, no matter what that transition is. You can always capture leave and TADs inside that block 29. Good to go?
So what if you do have a gap in your email?
Just a letter of correction. Simple. Easy fix.
Yeah, you can send that letter. Well, actually, it'll go into that, actually. In one of the chapters. All right, so concurrent reports. So you talk about your different kind of reports in FMF. So regular, concurrent. So concurrent, those are your TAD ones. So your regular reporting senior cannot really observe you. It's greater than 90-day period. So you would receive a concurrent report and deliver the regular report, which is fine. Again, we're still maintaining continuity throughout your eval, so you don't have any gaps. So just a different type of report depending on the situation. If your TAD recommends. Yeah, here's your criteria for submitting your concurrent report. So periods from 10 to 90 days, so you can just do a nod for that, right? Anything less than 10 days is typically your PIM, so your performance information memorandum. And it's designated for periods from 10 days, so know that for the test. People do PIMs all the time for longer periods. So again, try not to base your answers off your experience. And read the instruction on what it says. So 10 days for PIMs, all right? And then 10 to 90 days for non-observed. Following that, you have your TADs, which are greater than 90 days. If you're exceeding 90 days and your TAD, then you receive a All right, periodic reports, yeah, I forgot the last annual reports. Do you guys know where your emails go to after they're signed off?
BOL.
Okay, they end up getting in BOL, but how did they get them?
FERS.
FERS, which FERS?
It's in Millington.
Well, I know, but which FERS? Which I can't remember. Yeah,
FERS 407.
Now, FERS 32. So once they're done, you get signed by the CO. Members get a copy. Now, who gets the originals?
Chain of command.
No, you mail off your originals.
The what?
Your originals get mailed off to FERS.
Oh.
Which again, doesn't always happen. Sometimes there's copies that are mailed off, but originals get mailed off to FERS. Once they get mailed off to FERS, there's a time period that they have to be mailed off. So does anybody know? Within 15 days. And then for inactive folks, it's within 60 days. These guys have to be mailed off, right? So if the question reads inactive, just think 60 days. And if it's regular active personnel, 15 days from that time.
Hey, so it went away where it didn't need to be in there, and it didn't require a late letter if it was outside the 15 days. But now that's back with the new NAP admin establishing the RISCAs for PMA purposes. So if you're at your command and you have some H&2s handle these evals, no offense to H&2s, or an H&3 that doesn't know what he's talking about, no offense to you H&3s. But if somebody tells you, hey, or you ask, has my eval been sent out? It's not reflecting an OMPF or whatever. Like, that's 15 days. That's in the new NAV admin. All right. Anything after 15 days has to accompany a late letter, has to accompany those evals stating why they're late now. That's back in effect. All right. So if you take over some admin stuff for your shop and you send your evals out on day 17 after they were signed, you better have a late letter, otherwise they're going to get rejected by FERS.
About that late letter, does it have to come from your previous chain of command? So say you have a sailor that is evals were never inputted in his own PF from his previous chain of command. You have no summary report on that with that eval. So would you send
if the sailor has a copy, then I would just send it in and have a letter from the sailor saying eval doesn't reflect an OMPF, please, you know.
Yeah, because at that point it's not the sailor's fault.
Yeah.
That it's not in there.
Right.
They transfer, but then never gets put in. I mean, they don't have like a summary.
I would just send them in with a letter from the sailor himself, because it's no different than sending in a correction letter. Because with the new RISCA stuff, it's imperative that your guys' evals get in the system, because they need to reflect in NCIDC. That's how your worksheets for exam purposes are going to be generated, based off the trade averages and PMAs and RISCA and all that stuff inside of NCIDC. So if the evals aren't in there, then you have to go to a hand jam calculation, which when there's math involved with most sailors, there's subject for error.
Hopefully they err in the correct way. You guys know what RISCA is?
Yes.
The new program.
Well, it's not a new program. There's always RISCAs. So it's your reporting senior's cumulative average. So every CO or everybody who's signing your eval, they have an average. Like the average of let's say I rated if I rated Holcomb and Alston, and I rated I'm not going to master, but 3.8 and 4.0, right? For trade rates. And the average of that would be 3.9, so my risk would be 3.9. So it's everybody that person rates. And then they have the little average. So if you're, well, not now because you don't have risk yet, your evals aren't even insights, but when you pick up, hopefully, right, and then you get your eval and then it goes in insights, you'll be able to see your risk there on there. So talk to your seconds, they can show you their risk is and whatnot, and explain the process and everything.
Don't sheets have the continuous risk and they can follow the numbers a little bit?
That I don't know. Can the Chiefs edit their risk? I don't know. That would be weird.
You want to maintain a RISCA, right? So I don't want my RISCA to inflate too high, because then I could be potentially hurting sailors. If I have a 4.53 RISCA, and then I do have a stellar, sailor, and I give him a 4.0, you know, they're way below my 4.53 RISCA, so it could affect them. So yeah, sometimes, you know, tailoring the trade averages and stuff to maintain your RISCA without inflating or underinflating it too much can happen. You also have the COs or people that have a RISCA have the option of making the evals lower, but they have to put a note in there like, hey, adjusting RISCA or eval submitted, whatever, so then you have lower numbers potentially in order to take that deflated RISCA and bring it down.
Yeah, you guys will probably see it. I mean, you're going to see it a lot actually.
Come September exam, you guys will be.
Well, they don't E4s.
September will.
E4s?
Just this goes, you guys, and then it's supposed to.
No, for their, they don't have risk in their calculation.
Not right now, but it will happen.
They eventually have to look.
There's the people that sign their evals have.
Yeah, they have risk, but
All their
calculation.
evals.
All right, cool. Moving on. All right, non-observed reports. So chapter 6. So each of these chapters correspond with obviously a section. So chapter 6 is non-observed reports. We talked about PIMs earlier, so that's chapter 4. So kind of know those. They may ask questions regarding that. Like, hey, what is chapter blank of 1610.10 delta? And then you may be like, I don't know what the 1610.10 delta is. But that's where it comes in handy knowing your actual instructions, not just some of the information. So non-observed reports are intended to fulfill reporting requirements during periods of brief service when an assessment can't be provided. So like I said, if you're not able to be observed within that 90-day period, then you're likely to get knob, just like it says. These knob reports are suitable for over 10 days, right? And then what's suitable for under 10 days? The PIMs, right? So PIMs suitable for under 10 days, knobs over 10 days, but typically not to exceed 90 days. We talked about blocks 33 through 39. What are those? Blocks 33 through 39. Yeah, your trade rate, right? So remember, it's a big chunk of it. So 33 through 39, don't forget those. Block 45, you're going to mark knob. Why? What else could you mark in block 45? What is block 45?
That's the PMA block.
It's like MP,
Right, so it's your promotion recommendation. So it's not called PMA block, but yeah, that's heads in the right place. Alright, chapter 7. Reports on members assigned to civilian or foreign activities. I've never actually seen a question on this before, but if anything, I would say, let's see, your letters from civilian and foreign officials should be received 1 month prior to submission of fit rep and eval. So that's probably the biggest takeaway from this one. And honestly, I haven't seen anything from this chapter 7. You never know. You never know what will pop up. Alright, so these are the guys that are in training. Reports on duty and instructions, so doings, if you ever hear doings, or they may not even say reports on duty under instruction, you just have to know, hey, doings, they're on instruction duty right now. So a couple of different things you can do. So you're looking at temporary additional duty, annual training. So that's typically for reservists. So if they're on active duty training, ADT or ADSW, active duty for special work, there's still going to be evaluation because they're on active duty. And then knobs. Most of the students get knobs for doing portions. So you could ask them doing questions like a knob. Talking about reservists, I don't think it goes too far in depth into like ET, ADT, and ADSW, so I wouldn't stress too much about that stuff. Not commissioned automatic reporter. Yeah, I don't think this is, I have to memorize all that stuff. And this is what I'm talking about. Here's your AT, ADT, ADSW, and all that is a reservist coming on it. You guys, anybody who's at the hospital? Hospital people? Yeah, so you guys have reservists. What department do you work at? OR? Do you ever have reservists come in? Should in the OR.
We do.
You do? Okay. Yeah, so they'll, like a lot of times as your providers, rarely you'll have like an actual point go to the OR. Sometimes they would get squeezed in the field, but maybe like family medicine clinics. That way they don't have to do any BQSs and all that. But yeah, that's what these guys are doing. ADSW, ADT, and AT. Don't stress about these. I'm trying to memorize those, but hurt yourself. All right, so we're on chapter 12. So this is performance information memorandum. So it doesn't say on here. So what is the PIM again? Oh, I know that, but like, what are the time periods? When would you get a PIM? 10 days, right? So anything less than 10 days. And here's where it gets a little tricky here. Okay, so any personnel performing duty under instructions or doings for periods less than 90 days. So there's that gray area that I was talking about. So this specifically says, this is chapter 12 of PIM, specifically saying periods less than 90 days. But really the PIM is used for periods of 10 days or less. So that's what I mean, there's always gray area. Whenever you're getting asked a question, just pay attention to the other answers that are there. Because this question can mess you up. Maybe you'll think on this question, you'll think 10 days because you see PIM. But just know, doings, it says for periods less than 90 days. Just something to think about. Alright, so there's a PIM example. Has anybody ever received a PIM? How long was your PIM for? Just curious.
It was for 2 months.
2 months, yeah. What about you? So, typically they're a little longer when people actually do them, but for instruction purposes, 10 days. All right, whenever you're, this kind of falls in with the correspondence manual. Whenever you're doing your letters, make sure you're at 12 or 10 or 12 pitch. So anywhere in between there, they could ask you, hey, is 11 font cool? Maybe that's the only options you have, and 11 font will be your answer. So again, pay attention to the other options. All right, so comments and reasons. Let's see. Is this the one I was thinking? Here we go. Required comments. So when would you require comments on the actual comments portion of your evaluation? Which the comments portion is what block?
Block 43.
Block 43. So block 43, when would you require comments? And actually, we have a sailor have this question, and it's right there in black and white. So if you had a grade point of 1.0 grades or 3 2.0 grades, then you would have to put justification as to why that was. So that's where you're putting the information in the comments block. Hey, this member received this many 2.0s because blah. Right? Based on verifiable facts, not just your opinions. I don't like this guy, so I'm going to like 3.0s or 2.0s. Right? So verifiable facts still applies to substantiating these comments. So any adverse recommendations and comments, and then also enlist specific guidance on there. And then in our cases, we'll have comments on our risks, but that's not going to be active test. Prohibited comments, so things you can't say in your 43, right? Failure of selection, any NJP proceedings that have not concluded, so there's no results of that NJP. So like say like it's a DUI, let's say it's February, right? HM2 gets a DUI in February. His court proceedings have not completed. He's not got an NJP yet. His evaluation is due in March. You really can't say anything about that. There's nothing in your 43 that you can put or mark him down for getting that DUI just because he's not done with the proceedings yet.
So he could still get a good grade or get a good
Yeah.
grade average?
You could.
So someone's DUI and it only gets taken care of through the civilian side, like, does not have to do that?
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody getting a DUI and it only being
It happened.
really.
Yeah.
Were the charges?
Yeah, he like did,
Really?
was for, yeah,
Maybe he got really lucky. I don't know a command that would
They threw
yeah.
They couldn't NJP him or do any captain's mask because it would be double standards because yours are getting punished on the civilian side, so the military can touch him. So all you do is get a negative test.
Yeah.
No, that's what they told me also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's somebody misinterpreting that.
So I got another
Because-
private counseling in the military.
Because civilian entity and non-judicial punishment are two separate entities. Now, could he be court-martialed for it if he was getting civilian? Probably not. But NJP is a totally different thing. So they could have taken let's say they gave them a 3.8, right, or a 4.0 on that eval, and then following in freaking April, NJP proceedings were done, you do a special eval, documenting NJP proceedings, removing the recommendation, giving them a SP eval or whatever you want to do, right? That documents that. Now, later on, let's say 6 months later, the sailor does really well, you have the right to possibly do a special eval to return promotion recommendation and allow them to retain, as well as establish a better PMA. Not a great PMA, because when you go into PMA with an SP, that's a 2.6 in your calculation. So that really drops you down a lot. It's hard to recover from that. So,
Yeah, that's a good question though.
but in that case, I mean, I've seen some where the person goes to NJP, Brock's third class. Like, third class just found out he made third, not yet getting paid, and they can do something like remove recommendation from Brock, so he stays in HN, he doesn't get busted down, because technically he's supposed to get busted down to HA, and then because he has a family and it could cause like a detrimental whatever, then you just do suspended bust of, or suspended pay and whatever, 6 month period, and then XYZ happens. Let's say I mess up 3 months later, they come right back and now they take it all away because it's in that suspended bust.
Yeah, this is, so remember though, do not forget, when you're taking your exam, try not to get too far into it because you're going to mess yourself up. Usually the most obvious answer is the correct answer. So don't try to think too much into it. If you're like, well, what if it was a civilian? If the question doesn't say anything about it, no, that was a good question. I'm not trying to fault the question. But if it doesn't say anything, just try not to think, and I'll do the same thing. I'll overanalyze everything. And that's why I don't do well on tests. But yeah, good point. But try not to fall in that trap.
Question, can you go SP to EP?
No. You need another. Yeah. But you think about it, if your SP legacy recommendation has been wrong. So even like I guess what Johnson was saying. So if you had that, if you still got a 4.0 RDP and then you fell, and then your conviction, your proceedings were completed. It's actually a requirement, and it says that in the eval instruction. It's a requirement for you to get a special eval documenting afterwards. So we had a sailor, actually, I don't give any names or anything. We had a sailor in our battalion, similar situation, actually. It was basically the exact situation. But he got into this hole where he received that recommendation, or the non-recommendation actually, after his proceedings were done, and then next came time for him to get a seaway quota. And you can't get a seaway quota if you're not recommended on your eval. So he then had to have 2 special evals, right? So he got the one for the NJP, and then following that, like really a month or 2 later, another one said, hey, he's been doing kind of better. Here's his recommendation back, right? So, and that's the only way we were able to submit a seaway application. Alright, there's a couple other things, so not only pertaining to legal matters, but things you can't put in there. You can't put recommended awards in there or declarations because those aren't verifiable facts. They haven't been awarded yet, so you can't put them in there. You can't put, that falls along the lines with, you can't put college courses or anything like that that's not been completed. So if it's not done, you can't really put it on your eval. And civilian employment, obviously, so if you got a question on that, what's up?
So I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard you can't fit everything in your eval, and it's like, say, LOAs or college classes or something. You can put on your next eval, but you can't fit it.
Yeah, and really what that is, that's it's going to be based on your really your chief, honestly. I would say the 40 senior, but who's really handling your information is the chief. And then whenever you're getting ranked, right, when your second classes or first classes to your ranking board, it's kind of up to them how they want to do the ranking board, whether or not they're going to take that into consideration. Like, yeah, it wasn't on their last eval, but it's outside the reporting period. Is it worth putting on? Are we going to give her points for that? Yes or no? It's kind of, whoever's in your ranking board, that's kind of what it's up to. But certainly include it on your brag sheet and in your eval in the event it ends up being used because it wasn't used in your last one. Especially if it's outside of the reporting period. It's likely not going to be used. All right, comments may be included on misconduct whenever the facts are clearly established to the reporting senior's satisfaction. When commenting on NJP, give both the date of conviction or award of the punishment and the concluding date. These comments may refer to non-punitive administrative corrective measures or other than non-punitive letter of caution. So just like we were saying, once your NJP proceedings are completed, you have to document it with the date. Hey, this is when it was completed. This is what we did. This is this punishment. Blah blah blah. And then following that, he could potentially get a special. Right, guidance for signatures. So if you have a senior rater and a rater, right, so typically your chief and then your LPO, senior rater and rater. Let's say they don't agree about a sailor's recommendation, which would be kind of, be a big thing, a really big thing. They can actually write in there, I don't agree, I refuse to sign. So that's when you would see this. If consensus cannot be reached, on the finished report, you would type refuse to sign for either the rater and senior rater, or both. Yeah, if they can't agree.
For the sailors?
Say again?
Sailor, you said?
What do you mean sailor?
The sailor right refuses sign?
No. So for the senior rater or the rater.
But the sailor can also refuse to sign.
Yeah, so a sailor can do the same thing.
But don't you guys see like a master change if you don't want to sign your name out?
I think that's like probably a command thing. Yeah. I mean, you can. Like, there's
You
no,
get a GP if you don't sign.
but you don't have to. You don't have to sign it. You can, because all we would do is put member refuse to sign. And like I run into a similar situation where, because you could also put, what else can you put in it? If, other than member refuse to sign, like if, like say I can't get a hold of you.
Signature on the bill?
Yeah, signature not available. So I could essentially, if I wanted to, well, not if I wanted to, but like, if I couldn't get a hold of Holcomb for some reason, right? I could print his eval, give him a performance mark, never seen him, stamped his email, or stamped his eval, signature not available, send it within that 15 days to PERS. He could have never seen it this whole time, and then suddenly he looks at his own bill, oh, hey, I got a eval, what happened? Yeah. So you could, yeah, you could do that. And then what would he do in that case? If he didn't like that, or he didn't agree?
Letter of correction.
Yeah. You said letter of correction? Well, not necessarily a correction letter. What'd you say? Yeah, so he would make a statement. So he would make a statement, and really, is the statement going to change the mark that he got? Likelihood, no, it's not going to change it. But it'll be in there as a record, like, hey, facts. This is what I believe. Not necessarily this is what I believe, right? But this is what I have to say. These are my facts. You guys do with it what you will. Oh, actually, I think it's right up here. Remember on leave. Oh, no, that's not it. There you go. Member fails or refuses to sign, enter the explanatory phrase in the signature block. So you just write and refuse. And like I said, you send it into the first place. Changes. So here's your changes portion. So we talked about statements. So obviously, if there's and what are you supposed to do when you get your evaluation? You're supposed to look over it, and they always say that, right? You're too busy in your head trying to figure out what your promotion recommendations are. You don't actually read the blocks, so you may miss something. Oh, my name's not spelled correctly, or my middle name's not on my email, which is it's required to be on there. Otherwise, it has to say NMN. So that socials could be wrong. I've had multiple socials wrong on evals, like with sailors, like as I'm reviewing their stuff. I'm like, oh, that's not your social, that's weird. So all those administrative changes are easy to change. So you just send your corrections later. When you're talking about, let's see, where's statements? Out those recommendations. Statements, I think I passed it. Oh, here we go, statements. So submission of statements. So if a member desires to make a statement, they have to write in there, I intend to make a statement, but you have that option, right? Whenever you're signing your eval, I intend to make a statement, or I don't intend to make a statement, and you're going to do that block 51. You'll provide the statement to the reporting senior within 10 days after seeing the report. So in an ideal situation, you provide your statement, put it in with your eval, it gets sent out within that 15-day period. In all likelihood, a lot of times that doesn't happen. either because the member doesn't get the standards completed in time, or they hash it out amongst themselves. Like, hey, this is why you got this. And it really comes down to your senior leaders explaining to you exactly why you got the marks you received. And that's your right, is to know exactly what you got and why you got it. So if they can't explain that to you to make you feel comfortable with the recommendation you received, then yes, submit a statement. Alright, so appeals, if member believes the fit rep, chief eval, or eval is inaccurate, unjust, or wrongly submitted, they should first discuss the matter, just like I said, right? Discuss it with your reporting senior. If it's justified, submit an administrative change or supplementary material. So, I mean, you could even say, hey, my college wasn't in there, that wasn't really taken into consideration. Toss it in there, please, and they can do that. Must be submitted within 90 days from the time the member knows of the report submission, or within 1 year after it's submitted, whichever is better. So you still have time after that 10 days. You can still submit a statement if you wish to do so. All right, let's go back because I skipped these guys. So what was progressing again? 3.0. Through what? 2.6. 2.6.
Huh? 3.2.
3.2, right? So what's the next one? Wait, we're going backwards. Yeah, it's not in order. Why is it not in order? So significant problems. What are significant problems? 3.2. What's the next one? Goes by 2. 3.2, 3.4, 3.6, 3.8. And then what's the last one? 2.0. There you go. Now it's in order. Oh, sorry, 2.0. Significant problems 2.0. Sorry, my acronym is wrong. So when you're thinking of it, think of it as 2, 4, 6, 8, and then it goes by 2s, right? So in my head, it works to be 2, 4, 6, 8. That works better. 2.0, 3.4, 3.6, 3.8, and then 4.0. Sorry, I misspoke on that. So don't mess it up. So significant problems 2.0. All right. Let's see. Do you guys know? So in the eval manual are the actual evals, the actual form numbers. So do you know the form numbers? Because that's another question that we asked. What's that? Who's that? 2.5. 2 what? 2.6. Yeah. So 1610/26. So whenever you're looking at your evaluation, I think it's on the bottom left corner, you'll have that form number. So that could be a question that'll get you. So just remember, it's the same as the eval instruction, which is what? 1610, right? And then form is slash or attack or dot. Which one? Right, slash. And then you're going to do the 2.6. All right. Just like we talked about, original report is going to PERS 32. We talked about this already. Talked about that already. Counseling policies. So whenever you're going to counsel, it actually says in here who is meant to counsel you for E1 through E4. It's going to be E6. I'm trying to find that slide where it says that. Oh, that's it. No way. This one? Yeah, there you go, right here. That's the slide I was talking about. So E1 to E4, typically the guy counseling you is going to be your LPO anyway, so that's your E6. For E5 and E6 personnel, counselor would normally be the division, department head, or the chief, right? And then for E7 to O6, would normally be the report team. So, report team would be going to counsel those guys. I didn't know that was the last slide, so let's go over a couple of questions. Let's see what you guys have retained, right? And I'll try to get that one where we messed up the acronym, right? So still remember 2, 4, 6, 8, but only to big 2, not 3.2. All right. So significant problems. 2.0. 2.0. What about progressive? 3.4. What about promotable? EAP. 3.0. I got somebody. And MP? 3.8. Awesome. Let's see here. For E4 and below, who's gonna be the one signing off the rebus?
Sure.
Chief or CFG, right? What about for E5 and below? CO, what's another equivalent?
OIC.
OIC at what rank?
03 and above.
I mean, yeah, that's not wrong, but it's in the instructor E9, OIC, that's fine, but yeah, 03 is fine. E1 through E9, and why I say that is because E1 through E9 is what?
Correct answer.
Well, no, E1 through E9. That didn't make sense. E1, I think this guy's sleepy. Somebody can have some coffee. So E1 through E9 is your GS13 or equivalent, so that's why you're not incorrect in saying that. But again, if it's a test question, make sure you look at those answers because you may have been wrong, depending on what other options were available. What's the maximum time that you can have on a report? 15 months. 15 months. Give me a situation that would warrant non-observed report.
Been on board less than 90
Duty
days.
under instruction.
Less than 90 days. Give me a situation that would warrant a PIM.
90 days.
Okay, give me more information if you're going to say 90 days.
When you're temporarily assigned duty somewhere.
What's that called?
TUN something it is.
What's it? Doings? What's that stand for?
Duty under instruction.
Duty under instruction. So yes, so in that portion for PIMs, duty under instruction lists less than 90 days. And then for your typical PIM, you are at 10 days or less. What else? Let's do, what about, give me a couple types of reports. Current, what type of, why would you receive a concurrent report? You can say like the general answer for concurrent report. What's that? Is it your IA?
Individual.
Yeah, so IA, which would mean you're deployed, cool. You're basically TAD, right? So you would receive your concurrent report. Why? Yeah, so you're not around your chain of command, you said the command's not there? Yeah, command's not there, so you're your top dog in command, your reporting senior. So your reporting senior is unable to observe you, so you're going to have the other.
What has to happen significantly to the report? Yep, has to be countersigned by the actual reporting senior. So there's a chance that, I'm CO so-and-so and Black's under me, I give him a 4.0 EP, and he sends it back for counter signature back to wherever, and Arabella's now the senior chief over there, and it's like, you know what? We're going to pull him under our numbers. He's just an MP.
That stuff happens all the time, too.
Always.
All the time. So as you guys progress, you gotta make sure that stuff doesn't happen.
But it needs a counter signature. So you might see a question like, what type of report requires a counter signature?
All right. When you see promotion and frocking on the eval, who is it typically designated for? All right, so E6 to E7.
Selected is your keyword there.
And
Selected. And here's the reason why. Because when you go selected, they no longer get an eval, they now get a fit rep. It goes from block 43 to a block 41. So if anybody ever says, hey, you need an eval because you were selected to PO2, no, that doesn't exist.
all right. Let's do trade grades. What was anybody remember my silly little ditty for the trade grades?
2468.
No. Oh, okay. Yes. But I'm talking about what they actually said. I wasn't talking about promotion recommendation. I'm talking about trade grades. So remember, you're looking at 1.0 to 5.0. Right? Yeah. All right. So start with 1. What's 1.0? So remember, it's B, right? B, P, and A greedy. So below, right? What's the next one? Yeah, okay, BPMA grading. So the next one is A.
Above.
Oh, you're
Above
talking about the
standard.
1 through 5 blocks
Yes.
at the top.
Don't get your trade grades. Don't get your trade grades confused with your promotion recommendations.
Oh.
Alright, so remember your 2, 4, 6, 8, 4, 0, that's your promotion recommendations. Trade grades are your BPMA grading. Okay? So 1.0 through 5.0.
Okay, now I'm following.
Alright? Separate those. That's gonna be a question on exam. Yep. Alright, that is it for my section. I don't know who's teaching next. Let me see. You guys could take a 5-minute break.
Yeah. Any questions on evals?
Don't look too crazy into it. Don't be trying to get crazy scenarios.
Some of the stuff I've seen in the past was, what section is this? Where would you put leave dates? What block? Or, block 43 covers what? Simple stuff, and then trade averages, 4.0, etc. But yet, you should still learn this, because what better way to take care of yourself than understand the instructions so that you can advocate on your behalf.
Ready to kick this off?
Good.
Alright, cool. I mentioned with Desmond, I'm gonna go over BMR. Alright, I'm over with 3.6 right now. What's something special about BMR in this test? It's the last freaking one, right? Alright, so we're gonna go through this, and then y'all can do an NKO next time, right? Alright, one of the key things when you're actually taking these tests, and that will set you up for success in the future, is if you get your ISIC codes, or when you're looking at, PERS instructions and everything like that, and then when you're going through the DMR, if you know where the information is going to be located. Okay? Those are questions that you'll be able to weed out right off the bat. That and the simple fact of what's the difference between a slash and a dot. Alright? Good. Alright, so chapter 1, policies and programs. Alright, chapter 1 is going to go over sources of pollution. Alright, people cause the most pollution in the world. Alright, between agricultural and industrial. Okay? What's one of the huge industrial pollution, types of pollution that comes from our ships? It's got like greenpeace like on example. Sound. Right? Sound. Noise pollution. Okay? It's one of the biggest polluters that we do industrially. Okay? Alright. Guidelines on trash discharge. You're always going to see something like this on a test. Alright? How many nautical miles, can you discharge said trash in a submarine? Alright? So, guidelines on trash. Alright? Vessels may not discharge unpumped trash at sea within 25 nautical miles from the U.S. coastline, and pulp trash within 12 nautical miles of the U.S. coastline. Submarines may discharge negatively buoyanted in compacted trash not less than 12 nautical miles from the United States coastline, and the water has to be greater than 1,000 fathoms. All right. Anybody been on a ship? Pack that trash? Not fun. All right. Programs and policies. Military Cash Awards Program, MILCAP, is a special incentive awards program. It's designed to find new ideas to effectively increase performance within the Department of the Navy. The program has been responsible for important savings. All right, MILCAP provides monetary recognition of awards up to $25,000. Seen that on test. What's super awesome, if you come up with these ideas, and because you signed your name on that dotted line, the Navy's got your ass. They also got your ideas that come out your ass. Alright? It's just, it is what it is. Right? And then they give you a generous, no more than $25,000 to use your brainchild, right? It's not for us freaking corpsmen, it's for the freaking super awesome nukes and whatever that come up with super wizard shit, right? But if you come up with a new freaking tourniquet, sell it to North American Rescue, or sell it to the Navy. You're only going to get $25,000. Right. The Privacy Act. Okay? You can make an unauthorized disclosure, you may be fined up to $5,000. It's every year. Right? HIPAA, PII, okay? I'm not going to get that next verse. Chapter 2, Military Conduct and Justice. Somebody read this for me.
U.S. Navy uses the following three sources to set forth the disciplinary laws. 1, U.S. Navy regulations. 2, standard organization and regulations of the U.S. Navy. OPNAV instruction 3120.32. And 3, the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Alright, we call this the what? Manual. The SORM? The what? The SORM? Standard organization. Alright, that's SORM, alright? It's going to tell you everything that the Navy is responsible to and what you're responsible to the Navy to. Alright? And then, obviously, the good old UCLJ, the none of us have ever violated. Okay. Code of conduct. All right, code of conduct was established for POWs by Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1955 because of the Korean conflict. All right, we have 6 articles. All right, if captured, okay, you need only give what?
Name, rank, service, number, date of birth.
Boom. Alright. For us, okay, POW and confinement must be checked at least every 4 hours. Same for us, because not everybody plays with us playing games, right? Alright. Shore patrol. Shore patrol consists of E4 and above, and this can include officers as well. Shore patrol are assigned to assist military personnel ashore. They're identified by armbands bearing the letters SP. Armbands are worn on the left upper arm, covering the rating badge. Okay. Not so much anymore. You're probably in your service uniform. Okay. Your NSUs. Back in the day, they used to have patches on them, right? So, I don't know anything about that. That's alright. Okay? So, alright. Some armed forces have military police, and they may be combined from one unit called the Armed Forces Police Detachment. Right? These members are identified by brazzers, armbands, with the letters AFPD. They also assist military personnel ashore. See them? Duck. Alright, especially if you're out after hours, okay? Put your butt to your hotel room. Because then you'll get charged the last deal with the UCMJ, right? And the Master at Arms, alright, they're your Blue Falcons, okay? On ships, the Master at Arms force is headed by the Chief Master at Arms, the CNA, that works directly with the Executive Officer. So, that little line. Always think of discipline, okay? Now, the CO is in charge of discipline, but it's going to be guided by the executive officer, okay? Whether you're going to have to do cleaning sessions, all those type of things, those are run by the EXO, okay? All right, Navy regulations. UCMJ was signed in effect 31 May 1951 by President Harry S. Truman. These are articles, right? 86, absent without leave. Somebody read the rest of them.
Article 87, missing movement. Article 92, failure to obey an order. Article 94, mutiny. Article 134, general article. Article 137 states that the code must be explained carefully to each enlisted person. 1, at the time of entrance, no later than 6 days. 2, 6 months on active duty. 4, and every re-enlistment. Article 31, protection against self-incrimination. Article 15, non-judicial punishment by the commanding officer, captain's men.
Right. All right. So I'm just coming from Walter Reed. There's a couple people in here that I've seen from Walter Reed, right? So Army always calls this Article 15, or Marines just call it Article 15. You're on the blue side, it's just called straight captain's mess. Article 31, okay, that's your pleading the fifth. Article 137, you're going to sign that with every little re-enlistment paper, okay? It's saying exactly what you're responsible for. Now, these punitive articles up here, can you just be like guilty of one? No, right? You're going to be like Article 92, and then get up to Article 134, right? All the same. All right, Chapter 3, watch standing. I would study Chapter 3. It's always going to be something on it, right? Always like, what are the hours of the dog watch? Okay? So, know your hours. All right, the watch quarter and station bill, all right, WQS, list by billet, number, and rate divisional stations to be manned for various situations. Often cleaning stations are omitted since they are posted on a separate cleaning bill. The division officer and division chief are responsible for assigning qualified personnel to the watch organization, right? You're responsible for checking the watch qualification station on a daily basis. I've definitely seen that on test. Doesn't mean it's going to come up, but that is good information to know. Alright, you want to know that the person is qualified. Okay, you want to know that it is up to the division officer and the division chief to come up with that. Okay, it's not like at the hospital where the E4 is coming up with like freaking, quarter deck watch with it. Alright, at sea, the ship's deck log is kept by the quartermaster of the watch. Okay. Entries are handwritten using a black ballpoint pen. If you make a mistake, you draw a single line through the original entry and place your initials in margin. Is whiteout supposed to be used in the military? No. Right? Okay. Why is that? Huh?
Because you could erase something, write something else.
Right, yeah, I mean, this is straight legal document, right? You write it in pen so you can't erase it. You don't cover it up because you want to see what that mistake was written. Everybody knows we make mistakes, but it is a legal record writing that you made, your fire watch rounds and you encountered a radioactive raccoon, which you proceeded to fight with laser beams, right? And then reported to the staff duty NCO is important. You need to know that, okay? So that's legal document, okay? Don't worry about it. Don't white it out. Alright, dogging the watch is done at 1600 and 2000. It is divided in half, 18 and 18 and 20. Alright, these help rotate the watch. Sailors having the mid-watch, alright, balls 4. Best one to stay awake on. Alright? I'm permitted to sleep in 1 hour past revenue. That is what a late sleeper is. Okay? Not like y'all went to the hospital and they're like, oh, I work nights. I'm not doing my cleaning today. 1 hour past. Right? Chapter 4, communications. Types of communication. Verbal. Okay? Sound powered telephones. Non-verbal, we got flags, pennants, flagstaff insignias. Alright? Who won or earned the Medal of Honor for this? What do we call this non-verbal flags? Semaphore, right? Huh? Oh, that's it? Right? Where was he doing it at? Cuba. Right? Alright, cool. Alright, the phonetic alphabet. Okay, we use it to avoid confusion. Alright? Especially with my Texas accent. I don't know. Alright? Get another album over here. Alright. Phonetic equivalents of letters are spoken instead of letters themselves. Got it? Got it? Alright, sound powered telephones. I've seen questions on the test like this. Alright? You don't need a battery for sound powered telephones. They're powered by your voice. You're going to hold it 1 inch to 1/2 inch away from your mouth. Alright, when the calling cord is looped, 8 to 10 inches in diameter, headsets. Unplugged when not in use. Okay? If they're plugged in, they're going to hear every record that's going on. It's going to affect the damage control situation. Primary, auxiliary, and supplementary systems. Primary circuits are designated JA through JZ. Okay? I would know that. Auxiliary circuits are designated with the letter X. Alright? Just think auxiliary X. Alright, the X factor. And then supplemental systems are going to have like a full address tacked to them. Right? If you've ever been around ship, that's how everything is labeled. Cool? Alright, sound powered phones, still more. Repeat all messages word for word. Do not paraphrase. Most messages are divided into 3 parts: name of the station called, name of the station calling, and the message. Exact same way that the customer service manual says you're supposed to answer the phone. Here you go. Alright. I is not used as an answer to a question. Use affirmative or negative. Right? You don't want to use I because it sounds like right? To hear a message over, say again. Anytime you leave a circuit, always request permission. You need to transmit an urgent message, say silence on the line. Okay? Flags. Alright. This is going to be on the main jack staff. Okay? So see? Alright? If you see Quebec, right, you're out in town, what does that mean? Yeah, it means everybody drop everything and go back to the ship. Right? ASAP. Yeah. Oh, yeah, all those. But I think it's still the same, is it not? When you're on the town? All top is? Alright. Check. That's all the super colorful stuff that we got going on here. Alright. Chapter 5. Got a birthday? Okay. Dave's birthday is October 13th, 1775. John Paul Jones. Who is he? Father of the Navy, right? Where is he buried? Annapolis, Maryland. Okay? There is a boot officer right now standing watch on him. Okay, just like the 2 unknown soldier. There you go. Alright? He's famous for saying, I have not yet begun to fight. First submarine was the USS Turtle. Okay? The USS Hunley was in the Civil War's first submarine attack. Alfred T. Mahan defined sea power. Okay? He actually, wrote out an entire brief of the importance of what we do as a modern Navy. Alright? First aircraft carrier, USS Ranger. First nuclear sub, USS Nautilus. First nuclear power carrier was USS Enterprise. First naval aviator was Lieutenant T.J. Ellison. Alright, chapter 6. I would go through chapter 5 and always notable firsts. Okay? Who was the first Master Chief? Yes, Chief over Black, right? All those things. Alright, organization establishes a working relationship within a unit. It promotes teamwork and identifies the responsibility, authority, and accountability of individuals within the unit. We have our 3 agencies. Alright? Notice the Marine Corps is not part of them because they are bitches. Alright? Make sure when you go back to your phone, tell them, hey, do you want to tell me this? Alright? Tell them I'm working 3-6 and I'll have a conversation with them. Right? Also, the same thing, you will see that the Coast Guard is not there either, right? Okay? Sucks for them, they're not getting paid right now. Alright? They should have joined the adult division. There we go. Alright, the DoD is headed by the Secretary of Defense. Our late Commander in Chaos is gone. We have a new one, correct? Alright. Navy operating forces includes the Marine Corps. We just went over that. Prior to 9/11, the Coast Guard was under the Department of Transportation. Now it is part of the Department of Defense under Homeland Security. Okay? Shortly after 9/11, alright, organizational continue. Aboard ship organization and regulations can be found on the Shipboard Organization Regulations Manual. Okay? In SORN. Alright? Standard organizational regulations of the United States Navy. Went over that. It's the second time this has come up in the PowerPoint. I will know that instruction. Right? We have two elements of the ship's organization. You have battle organization and administration organization. Administration organization is how you're going to route your chicks. Battle organization is what you're going to do and who you report to during battle stations. Okay, what are your responsibilities? We have 5 different departments in the ship. You have navigation, engineering, operations, supply, and weapons/deck. The engineering department is underneath the chief engineer. Right? The chain. Ever heard that? Right? That's what the chief engineer is, the chain. So pretty much it goes the CO, the XO, and then like right in the middle, right there is the chain. Okay? Because the chain knows everything that is actually going on with the workings of that ship. The division is the basic unit of the ship's organization. The commanding officer is ultimately responsible for the ship and everything that is pertaining to it. Right? Like piss bottles found in quarters in a wrecked ship. Right? Did that come out? No? Not paying attention to what goes on in the Navy? Right? Boom. Fitzgerald, right? Okay? Alright, chapter 7, basic seamanship. Ground tackle. It's the equipment used in anchoring and mooring anchors. It includes anchors, anchor cables, anchor chains, and associated equipment such as chain stoppers, bending shackles, outboard swivel, shots, and detachable links. 90-foot sections are called shots. Anchors are the most common types of anchors are used aboard the ship are the stockless and the lightweight or stock and crown anchors. Rat guards. What's important about rat guards?
Keeps the rats off the ship.
Right. Where can you find further information on rat guards? What's your, huh? Somebody said PG-10. What is that? Red manual. Okay? See how these things cross over? Alright. Somebody read the terms.
Forward end, fore. Forward end, fore of the boat is the bow. Inboard usually describes the area inside the boat or an object nearer the center line of the boat. Outboard describes the area furthermost from the boat's center line or beyond the side of the boat. Starboard, when facing forward of the boat, your right-hand side is the starboard. Port, when you are facing forward of the boat, your left hand is the port. Knots are used to form eyes or to secure a cord or line around an object, such as a package. In other words, the line is bent to itself. Hitches are used to bend a line to or around an object, such as a ring, spar, or stanchion. Bends are used to secure two lines together.
Alright, we got ship and aircraft characteristics. Alright, lengthwise direction on a ship is fore and aft. Okay, we just went over those directions. Crosswise is that word that Luke I was not going to say right now. Alright, the front of the ship is the bow. The rearmost part of the ship is the stern. The ship is divided in half lengthwise by the center line. Alright? Now, we build ships from what? Steel. Keel up. Right? Okay? That is the center line, but the spine of the ship. Okay? The extreme width of the ship is usually the midship area and is called the beam. The backbone is called the keel. The frames running parallel to the keel are called longitudinals. And the interior part of a ship is divided into compartments by vertical walls called bulkheads. The vertical distance from the bottom of the keel to the water line is the ship's draft. Alright? you'll actually see it like generally like painted like different colors on like grading ships, right? Alright, categories of ships. You have CVs, or multi-purpose aircraft carriers. You don't have them anymore, right? CVNs, same thing, they're aircraft carriers, but they're nuclear powered. BBs, we got battleships, all decommissioned. You want to go see one, go to Wilmington, where I stay at, in North Carolina, right? CGNs are medium-sized general utility ships. DDs, destroyers, multi-purpose ships, they're fast with little armor. Right? DDGs, same thing, guided missiles, shoot off the tomahawks, drop warheads on foreheads, good to go. Alright? FFGs, frigates, are used for open ocean escort and patrol. Alright? Your DDGs pretty much are surface submarine hunters. Alright? Your frigates are bigger, and they are going to escort the carriers and other types of ships in your ARG, right? Right, for us that go on special magazines. There you go. Right. LHAs. What are they?
Yes.
Alright. LPDs. You're gonna feel these ships too, right? How do you tell the difference? Huh? Landing pad in the back, right? LHAs, right? You got big eyes. Okay? You can think about the other one on the front. Right? So you're pin. Okay? Then you have LHDs. Right? They're like the little floating smaller carriers. Here we go. Alright, LSDs, we got dock landing ships, LSTs, LCCs, and MCMs, right? You have auxiliary ships. Right? This is what's going to give you your replenishment at sea. Right? You have AOEs, fast combat support ships, supplies fuel and ammunition. All right? AOs are just oil, AEs are just ammunition. The Navy deploys two classes of submarines. You have ballistic missile submarines, SSBNs, and then you have SSESs. Right? The Ohio class is the largest undersea craft developed in the Navy. It has 24 tubes for Trident ballistic missiles. That's a whole lot of hate and discontent. Alright, that's like bye-bye North Korea. Right? So when Trump was saying my button is bigger than yours, he was right. Okay. Attack class aircraft. Low-level bombing, ground support, or nuclear strikes. We don't have the Prowler anymore. The carrier is getting phased out. In my introduction, I started off as an aviation instructional mechanic, so I was like kicking around with these things back in the day. Fighter class aircraft, Tomcats, we don't have them anymore, but it's really cool to watch in Top Gun. That and the volleyball scene, and you know what just happened with the F-18? Huh? They're going bye-bye, right? The legacy Hornets are going bye-bye because we have Super Hornets and we have a super awesome Roach Strike Fighter, right? But what do the Blue Angels fly?
Hornets.
They fly, yeah, the legacy Hornets, Alphas through Deltas. Okay? So that would be like F-A-18A, F-A-18B, F-A-18C, F-A-18Bs, right? Which are all legacies. But that is what they fly. What happened with the Blue Angels just recently? Huh? It was a near accident, right? They had to make an emergency landing. Good to go? Stay up with those things. PTO Orions are the patrol class. They were a propeller plane. We don't have propeller planes anymore, except for our B-22s, right?
The Greyhounds are gone?
Yeah, they sure are. Yeah, it is the P8, and it's based on a 737 concept. Alright, you have your S3 Viking. So this one is a patrol ship, or a patrol aircraft. So it just flies around and, looking for, looks like a big radar station. And S3 Viking was to actually look for anti-submarine warfare. So then you have the Hawkeye and the Shadow, another big radars. The Greyhound was cargo plane. Yada yada yada. And then everyone's got a C-130. You sing about it every freaking run. Okay. CH-46, Sea Knight twin turbine transport helicopter. Something you're going to need to know for your FMF pin. All right. SH-2 Sea Sprite serves in Lance, light airborne multi-purpose system. Then you have your Sea Stallion, right? It's the big one. Then you have your Sea Hawk, which is the Navy's Black Hawk. It's different than the Army's Black Hawk. It's smaller, the tail fins. And then you have a Sea Dragon. These for mine countermeasures. Chapter 9. Alright, custom way of acting. Alright, we're going to go through customs and courtesies, right? Hand salutes. What are the rules in hand saluting? Sorry, Mom. 6 bases? What else? Just.
It's the most common form.
Left-handed saluting in the Navy is permitted if your right hand or arm is injured. Carry all objects in your left hand. Start your hand salute approximately 6 paces from an officer. Hold your salute until your salute is returned or until you are about 6 paces past the officer. Always accompany your salute with a respectful greeting. For example, good morning, Commander Brockway, or good afternoon, ma'am. Enlisted personnel salute all officers. Officers salute their senior. Everyone salutes the national anthem. We do not have to salute when uncovered inside, when part of a work detail, when under actual or simulated battle conditions, or when guarding prisoners.
Right. Or smoking, yeah. Take up the backup. Alright. Not gonna be on test, but what do you do if like Lance Cooley sees you at the freaking at Wendy's or whatever salutes you? You salute back, right? It's just a sign of respect. Right? Alright, passing honors, ship to ship. Ship honors, officials and officers as a board, a marked Navy ship. That's your ding 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 ding. Okay, gun salutes, depending on where they're at, what rank, and where the gun salutes. Passing honors, remember 600 yards for ships, and 400 yards for boats. Signals for actions for passing honors follows. 1 blast, come to attention. 2 blasts, attention to port. 1 blast, and salute. 2 blasts, end the salute. 3 blasts, carry on. There are 3 holidays in which you'll render gun salutes. President's Day, Memorial Day, and Independence Day. Standard 21 gun salute is fired at 1-minute intervals. Alright, starts at 1200 and ends at 1220. Rifle salutes, orders present arms, order arms, right shoulder arms. Colors is at 08, no matter where you're at. Okay? Rendering or bringing colors down depends on sunset. Alright. Somebody read what's boarding the vessel. That's important.
Juniors always enter a car first, seated leftmost, and exit last. walking. Juniors always walk on the left side of seniors. Basic rule of etiquette for entering airplanes, boats, and vehicles is seniors in last and out first. In general, seniors on a boat take the seats farthest aft. Boarding a vessel. When boarding a ship in which a national ensign is flying, you should stop on reaching the upper platform. Face the national ensign and salute. Salute the OD, or the ODD. As you salute, you say to the ODD, I request permission to come aboard. When you leave the ship, the order is reversed. First, you salute the ODD and say, I request permission to leave the ship, sir or ma'am. After receiving permission, you face the salute and salute the national ensign.
Alright, chapter 10 is uniforms and formations. Alright, y'all should all know how to do that. Graduate boot camp. The Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration in the world that is still in use. It was founded by the George Washington. You know what it was called originally? The Legion of Merit. Okay? Study up on these grooming standards. I know they have changed, right? Drill formations. You should know this as well. Field med. Alright, chapter 13, CBR defense. Goes over biological warfare. Not to do that every year, doing the CBRE stuff, so y'all should be good there. Know the gases, know the difference between nerve and blood, know the agents, and then, you know, the mitigating factors that you can use for those, how to treat them, right? During nuclear warfare, this is, there are 4 different types of blasts. You can do high altitude, which casts nuclear radioactivity all the way around. You can do a mid blast, and then you can do a ground blast, where the fireball actually hits the ground. And then you can do a subterranean explosion. Okay. Boom. Alright, we all know different types of duties. There we go. That is the instruction for the Navy evaluation system. Alright. You go from a crew school to A school, alright, which is your apprenticeship. C schools are advanced schools, okay? They're your career schools. Alright. Boom, boom, boom. The different types of discharges. You're threatening with them every day. That's it. Okay, do you have any questions? It's a lot to go over and be a lot, but again, this is going to be like the last test with it. Okay, all those other things y'all should already know. Maybe eventually you'll know. Just remember what Ricky Bobby says. You can say whatever you want, as long as you say it with all due respect, right? Let's get what you need, bitch.
Hey, quick break, 5 minutes.
For everyone in the class right now, I'm not going to pull up on the side. I'm going to touch on the main points that I've seen on the exam before, all right? We're just going to kind of cruise through it because there's like 100 slides covering 8 chapters, so we're just going to go right through it, all right? So PO2, PO3 requirements, all right? Publication that governs the rules and regulations of a petty officer's actions. The U.S. Navy regulations, the manual for court martial, and the SORM. You guys already had that class, right? SORM?
Yes.
Yeah, very well. All right, the Navy has developed the Navy Leadership Continuum, provides career-long progression, and is mandatory at certain milestones, E5, E6, E7, and then CMC. All right, it talks a little bit about indoctrination. You have Petty Officer Indoc course, your POSLIC, you have Chief Petty Officer Indoc. The only one that I've seen that they can really pull a question from is the CMC course. It's a 4-day course, has to be completed within 6 months of first assignment. All right. Does anyone know what the Navy's definition of leadership? No? Yep. So the art of influencing people to progress towards the accomplishment of a specific goal. All right, personal qualities of a leader. There's dedication to the Navy and the nation, inviolable example, initiative, loyalty to the command, and accountability. I would take note, accountability, it is the cornerstone of leadership. Does anyone know what the crow symbolizes that we all wear? Nobody? Symbolizes the responsibility and the authority that goes with that pay grade. Does anyone know what the 5 basic levels of understanding an individual's needs, or basic human needs? Does anyone know what those are? Everyone should know what the first one is. What's that? What's another term? You need food to what? Survival. All right. Safety, security, social belonging, esteem, and then self-actualization. It lists a lot of instructions in here. So, safety requirements or information on safety concerns. I would look through the PowerPoint. All right, that's probably stuff that they can utilize those references within a reference for safety. Often have instruction 5100 series. So I would make a note of that flashcard, whatever you have to do, because they will utilize those instructions that are listed in the text, all right? What's the most important feedback? Does anyone know what the 2 types of feedback are?
Constructive criticism?
Constructive feedback. What's the other one? What kind of feedback would you be given if it's constructive?
Guided.
What's that?
Guided.
Okay. Well, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? Right. You're trying to improve something, right? So what would the other kind of feedback be? What's that? It's positive. All right. So if someone's doing a good job, hey, you're doing a good job. Does anyone know what the 4 B's are when reporting to seniors? What are the 4 things you need to do?
When reporting seniors?
Okay. Be on time, be accurate, be brief, and then be gone.
Okay.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, I bet you
Well, that
were.
one's pretty hard.
Be gone.
Does anyone know what the most frequently used form of instruction is?
I'm just informal.
You're getting it right now.
Lecture.
What's that?
Lecture.
Lecture. So with any advancement exam, they like to use dates, instructions, and numbers. The first part of this chapter, at the end, it talks about command training teams, all right? That's the bulk of the numbers for this chapter. Everyone knows that Navy rights and responsibilities, they changed it, Navy pride and professionalism. It doesn't really exist anymore like it used to. But some things to note. You're supposed to complete this within 90 days of reporting to a new permanent duty station. You're supposed to keep the class size to at least 20 or below. It covers your topics, EO, sexual harassment, prioritization, so on and so forth. Earl. So it gives some CTT sizes for commands that have more than 50 military personnel. So I would make a note of those. So 50 to 100, you need at least 2 trained CTT members. From 101 to 200, you need 3. 201 to 300, 4, and then anything over 301 is 5. Commands less than 50, they don't need a CTT, but they need to be able to participate with a host or neighbor command. If a CTT member is inactive for a longer period longer than 24 months, they need to repeat formal training. You have to be a CTT member, you need to have at least 18 months on board, and then you need to complete the equal opportunity in the Navy NRTC within 3 months of assignment. Is there any questions? All right, I would still look over the PowerPoint or the reference. There's a lot of information, but I just hit the wave tops and stuff that I've seen on the exam before. That's one chapter down. All right, chapter 2, military justice and bearing. What are the 2 types of petty officer authority? You guys are all quiet.
Organizational.
Okay, what's the other one?
General.
What is general? What kind of authority is that?
Broad. Like the articles and regulations.
Okay. So general authority is by virtue of your position in the Navy. Organizational is your billet. There's 3 U.S. Navy regulations for the general authority. You have 1037, 1020, and 1132. All right. Organizational comes from the SORM, as well as 1020 and 1037 articles of U.S. Navy regulations. What's the article regarding punishment of the UCMJ? Nobody? 15. All right, EMI, use to correct a deficiency must have a logical relationship to that deficiency. Cannot be, or normally is not more than 2 hours, and it can be done at a reasonable time outside of normal working hours. Cannot be done on the Sabbath. Does everyone know what the Sabbath is? The authority to delegate EMI can be delegated, but usually not below the CPO level. Withholding privilege is used to correct minor infractions or deficiencies. Final authority rests with that authority that can grant that privilege. Can your supervisor extend your working hours?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the article of the UCMJ that all suspects must be informed of the charges against them and the right to remain silent?
37.
What's that?
Is it Article 37?
Close. 31. What is that also known as? Brain rights. What are the three types of court-martial? A summary court-martial is comprised of how many commissioned officers?
4 commissioned officers.
For summary? One. What about a special? How many members? Huh? 3. What about general? 5. Which one can death be awarded?
General.
Alright, the second half of this chapter goes into uniform regulations. There's another class tomorrow about that, so I'm not going to go into great detail. The one thing I want to talk about is CBAG inspections. Alright? So for E1, E2, E3 personnel, they're supposed to be inspected at regular intervals and have to have the quantities listed on the CBAG inspection checklist. E4, E5, and E6 is essentially as appropriate. So if like you screw up, if you're missing something, then they could conduct one. Where would you find the requirements for a CBAG inspection? Take a guess. Uniform regulations. Does anyone know what the chevrons on rating badges for E45 and E6 measure? How many inches wide? 4. 3/4. Did you say fucking 8? Where's the rating badge? Where's it worn at?
Left off.
What uniform are gold service stripes and gold chevrons authorized on? Yes, please. What's the maximum length of hair for men?
4 inches.
All right, chapter 3, quality of life. All right, the Personal Excellence Program. 4 principal goals are education, health and fitness, citizenship, and the Navy Personal Excellence Partnership Program. Education is twofold definition: Navy personnel, so that's your stuff for like NECs, Navy skills, enhancement, so on and so forth. And then your external, your college and civilian education. Right? Family support program. So that is a program that's to promote high quality family life, which is CNO set up in 1979. Family service centers, all bases with 500 more active duty, have at least have an installation of family service center. All centers offer 13 core programs that fall into one of 3 areas: information and referral, education and training, or counseling. What does FAP stand for?
Family Advocacy Program.
Does anyone know what the form number for Family Care Plan Certificate is? No? KCO can only be an officer with a minimum of 2 years of active duty service or a qualified senior enlisted member of pay grade E7 or above. What is MILCAP? So the Navy Alcohol and Drug Abuse Program includes the NAD SAP Drug and Alcohol Program Advisors, your DAPAs, the Right Spirit Campaign, Alcohol Treatment Facilities, the Navy Drug and Alcohol Counselors, and Alcohol Rehabilitation Counselors. Which one is zero tolerance?
Drugs.
All of them are. Does anyone know the program? It's the NADAP, Navy Alcohol and Drug Abuse Program. All right, so the NADSAP was started by the Navy in 1974 against the in its campaign in the war against alcohol. In 1980, the Navy Drug Safety Action Program began to combat the use of illegal drugs. Several years later, the two programs combined to form the Navy Substance Abuse Prevention Program. The program name changed in 1985 to the present title of NADSAP. Who do DAPAs advise on all NADSAP matters? COs. What is the goal of the Right Spirit campaign? What's that? Okay. So the goal is to de-glamorize alcohol and prevent alcohol abuse. When did it start? You're close. 96. Did you say 95 or 85? 95. What are the two programs that the Right Spirit promotes?
Health and wellness.
No? Nobody? Alcohol Aware and Alcohol Impact. Which one is designed for intervention?
Alcohol impact.
Impact. How many beds does an alcohol rehabilitation center have? 20. 75 to over 200. Did they already go over the suicide program?
Yes.
What is the most preventable cause of illness and death?
Obesity.
Alcohol. Smoking. Back injuries affect over what % of all service members at some point in their careers? 75. Close. Did you say 95? No, it's 90. What percentage of lost workdays experienced annually by the Navy are due to back injuries?
30 days.
What percentage?
50.
50. What time are you trying to cut? What time are you trying to cut?
What chapter are you on?
It's going to start 4.
15 more minutes. We'll do this.
So I'll see you.
This is the uniform of the day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Petty Officer Quality Control Program. Established in 1980 with a focus on providing centralized oversight of career petty officers with identified performance or behavior deficiencies. So it talks about some special programs in here, all right? So law enforcement, the reference that it lists in here is the Transman, which is the Enlisted Transfer Manual, Chapter 9. Like I said, I would look over the reference. I'm not going to get in detail, but it goes over law enforcement, brig staff, U.S. Navy Ceremonial Guard, Navy Air Crew Program, Navy Spec Ops and EOD programs, and then the CWO and LDO. You guys all had the commissioning program, right?
You talked about that.
What's the form number for your page 2?
That's for 270/602.
Page 4? Alright, so it talks about some retirements we're just going to touch on them briefly. So you have Fleet Reserve, Regular Navy Retired List, Naval Reserve Retired List, Retired Reserve, Temporary Disability Retired List, and the Permanent Disability Retired List. Who can authorize application for retirement by Temporary Early Retirement Authority message after 15 years of service? Congress and the President. Fleet Reserve shall provide experienced personnel for the first stage of mobilization during emergency or in time of war, made up of former enlisted members of the regular Navy and Naval Reserve, eligible for transfer upon the completion of 20 years active service. While serving, you can be ordered back to active duty without your consent. After the completion of 30 years, you'll be transferred to the retired list. For the regular Navy retired list, so that's for those that have completed 30 years of service. Unlike the Fleet Reserve, the 30-year retirement is a right guaranteed by law, so you're not going to be called back to active duty. Well, you can by the SECNAV, sorry. So you can be ordered to active duty in a time of war or national emergency at the discretion of the SECNAV. Naval Reserve retired list. So suppose those members of the Naval Reserve may be ordered to active duty without your consent. That may only be done if the SECNAV with approval of SECNAV determines the Navy does not have enough qualified reservists. Retired reserve consists of reservists who have been temporarily transferred to the retired reserve list without pay. Temporary disability consists of those members who are temporarily unable to perform the duties of their rank or rating because of a physical disability. Permanent disability is the same thing, but it's a permanent. Benefits of retirement, the commissary, burial rights, VA benefits, so on and so forth. Transfer to the Fleet Reserve requires complete 2 years at your duty station and submit the application no sooner than 12 months or later than 6 months before your requested transfer date. The application sent to First Tech 273. Any questions?
How many people have done the PO3, PO2?